I'd like to now call to order the Planning Commission, the monthly meeting for the Culpeper County Planning Commission for the month of October. We welcome everyone here this evening. This time, every month, I take that opportunity is to wear some pink and to acknowledge Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And for a long time, it was something that wasn't part of my life, but about 5 years ago it was, and I commend those who actually lost the battle, but put up a good fight. And I had a sister who had done that, and it's just amazing when someone is going through something like that, how they're more concerned about everyone else being okay versus themselves. But we commend those who have are survivors of breast cancer, and they're being able to bring encouragement and all to and continue to bring encouragement and all to others. All those I don't know if it's televised tonight or not, but anyway, those who have had to deal with that, we acknowledge that at this time. And it's amazing all the things that we are able to do as man, put a man on the moon, and send a rocket there, and electric cars and all these things. But cancer seems to be something that just keeps beating us up. But soon, very soon, we'll take care of that. But I'm not here to preach. I just wanted to acknowledge that on this evening to all those who might be viewing and those who are here. At this time, next order of business is approval of the agenda and that we have before us. Chair, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye? Aye. The agenda is accepted as presented. Second is approval of the minutes from our September the 13th meeting. We received those. Any concerns? If not, Chair, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. So the minutes will be put to record. Now, we are going to new business. Neil?
For a conditional use permit to allow the construction and operation of a shooting sports facility for use by youth teams and local youth groups, Piedmont Rod and Gun Club. This is per Article 3-2-2.16 of the zoning ordinance and in accordance with Article 17, use permits of the zoning ordinance. The subject property is zoned A1 agricultural and is located on the corner or near the corner of Route 658, Mount Pony Road in the Stevensburg Magisterial District. It's found on tax map 64, parcels 2E, 2F, and 40B.
Thank you that we have a quorum tonight. I appreciate you five showing up. Normally there's 9 for those that don't normally watch the Planning Commission. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for the applicant, but we'll find out. Mr. Chairman, also a little bit unusual, we don't have all of our screens working tonight. That's a technical issue. We don't know what's going on. A couple of media tried their best this afternoon to figure out what the issue is, but we weren't able to determine it, so we're going a little more low-key, and you'll need to focus your attention for screens over here. So the applicant will have a presentation as well here in just a minute, and he's going to be using this screen as well here. So. We do have one case tonight, as Neil read, and that's a use permit for basically a private recreation facility. Article 3, which is your A1 zoning ordinance, does allow this type of use only through the approval of a conditional use permit. So the applicant did file the necessary paperwork for conditional use permit, did provide background information about what they're trying to achieve on the property, and has provided some subsequent information that I think in response to staff's report that they'll go over tonight in their presentation. Mr. Chairman, also on board docs, not only was the applicant's application, but was the staff analysis, including the case maps. And on the screen, the one screen highlights the property where the applicant's seeking this special use permit or conditional use permit for the recreation facility for ski Clays, and they'll go into details about what they're hoping to accomplish, but those are some of the uses that would be potentially enjoyed on this property. It is about 70-some acres in totality, but it's 3 different properties. The access is off of 658, as Neil read, and from the advertisement there. It is a shared private easement to get back to the property, but they do have access, direct access through that easement to 658 Mount Pony Road. The applicant did provide a concept plan that was included in there, and they do not, while they're not planning to use the entire property, they do hope to use a good portion of the property with some buffers around that area, and they can go into that in more detail. As is normal with any use permit, Mr. Chairman, we did forward it to VDOT for consideration, and really that was one of the major ones with this particular use. They did pass off a recommendation for potential commercial entrance, which could be accomplished if the use were to be approved, and that would be done through a site plan at a later stage. But a commercial entrance could go in there. The easement width would more than accommodate that. The Soil and Water Conservation District did also review it. They did pass along a couple of comments that staff does also agree with, and that was a riparian buffer. There's a stream that goes through a portion of the property, and the applicant does propose to buffer that it's an intermittent stream. Might not have water in it right now, but sometimes it will, and that would need to be protected. Staff does also share that concern, and we illustrated a little bit more in depth of why we were concerned about that in the staff report. And from agency reviews, that's pretty much really the main things. The health department did weigh in. I almost forgot about that, but the soils aren't the best for this area, for this property. So most likely, if the use were to mature and they would need facilities on the property, they probably would need some type of alternative septic system. And that would need to be permitted through the health department, but I just want to make sure the planning commission was aware of that. It's possible if they did more soil exploration that they could find something, but I know one particular piece for sure, the health department said there's nothing available for a conventional system, at least right now. But the applicant can certainly address that further. Mr. Chairman, just as a reminder for Article 17, there's really 3 main points. One of those is the comprehensive plan, so we did do an analysis as far as the comprehensive plan. The area where they're seeking to enjoy this use would be shown as future agricultural, shown as future not residential use, not commercial use really, and not industrial use. It does show to remain the same land use that's there today primarily. The tract is largely forested now, and while that would be cleared to accommodate this use, they would propose to leave some of the vegetation on the property that would help mitigate some of the concerns that may pop up as far as noise and other things with this use. As far as the comprehensive plan, in a nutshell, staff didn't find a lot of negatives, but there are 2 other criteria for the use permit that we have to find for Article 17. And really, is it harmonious with the neighborhood? Are there public safety and health and welfare issues that we need to look out for? And if you look towards the back of the staff report, we did enumerate a couple of things that staff was concerned with at this time with the level of detail that was provided with the initial application. Anytime you have a shooting facility, a firing range, however you want to word it, there's going to be noise associated with it. And we've had a few across the county that have been permitted, very few over the years. And even if it's not a permitted facility and it's just whether it's hunting or just backyard target practice, there is going to be noise typically associated with this use. There's no denying that, and that's why staff did list that as potential #1 concern, and something the Planning Commission should watch out for too as you review this use. What we've been presented with are some things that the applicant has shown. 1, the size of the property does help with that. 2, there is, like as I mentioned, it's a largely wooded property, so any type of tree buffer will help with that as well. They've provided not a lot of detail, but they've shared the intent to do berming. Berms will also help with noise mitigation, and then also baffling around any structure to help on the property, and then structures throughout the property to help with noise mitigation as well. Staff would have liked to see a little more detail with that part of their application. And they do, I think, have a little more now, and I think their presentation will share a little bit more detail than what we at least received with the initial application. I mentioned the environment. We shared a concern with the Soil Water Conservation District. Staff did enumerate or list a concern about the environmental impact due to the site's location, mainly with the tributary. Don't know a lot from a staff standpoint about sporting clays and the toxicity that's involved there, and the applicant will sure to go into that a little more detail with you tonight, but that is a concern given the tributary that's on the property and how that will be managed safely for the neighborhood. And then the last thing that we kind of hit on in the staff report was the transportation or access point. And we do agree with VDOT as far as their recommendation for a commercial entrance there as well. Mount Pony Road, just as a character, if you haven't been down there lately, it is a hard surface secondary road. It does have some 90-degree turns a little bit north of here at this location. The applicant didn't provide a lot of detail as far as the number of people that would be in and out of the property, but this is probably a minor concern for staff compared to maybe noise and some other things with this particular use. I think this road can handle a little bit increased traffic as long as it's managed. And with a private recreation facility, unlike a full open commercial like a shopping center, it would be limited traffic as far as any type of hybrid commercial use that would be there. And Mr. Chairman, there are other things that were mentioned there. Just wanted to highlight those few from the staff report. I'm happy to entertain any questions as far as staff goes. I know Mr. Cooper is here. He has a presentation and can go into a lot more detail about what they're hoping to accomplish.
Thank you very much, Sam and Neil, for that. We'll go ahead and let the applicant speak first this time. The applicant, representative for the applicant come forth. Give your full name for the record, please.
Curtis Cooper.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and
Good
commission
evening,
members. As I said, I'm Curtis Cooper. I'm a local. Lived here in Culpeper County most of my adult life with my wife, who is here this evening. I'm a business owner here in the county. She is a nurse at Culpeper Hospital. And thank you for recognizing breast cancer because she's a breast cancer survivor. So thank you for that. If it's okay, I'm going to jump straight into the information that I have so as to not keep us too late. So reviewing some of the concerns with staff and other things, it seems like there's two tranches of major concerns that we've seen or we want to address. One would be the noise and the other would be the environmental. So if I could tackle those two first, it would be helpful to keep things moving fairly quickly and then address the smaller issues. So as part of our goal, as with this new facility, is we want to be good neighbors. Part of the design of the entire facility that we did is in hopes of reducing the emanation of noise as much as possible. Mr. McLaren read some of those, but one of them is bermed enclosures, encapsulated shooting positions, and acoustic reduction ballistic materials. And I'll go into those three in a little more detail in the next few slides. Another thing that we volunteered is the planting of 100 eastern white pines. This will help us offset the clearing that we have to do for the facility. And what we would like to do is work with staff to find strategic locations during the plan process of the site to help with that noise abatement. And so that's why one of the reasons that we volunteered the extra plantings that are up here tonight. This is a little deceiving. If we could turn this 90 degrees, which I should have done. The very bottom is, if we're facing it, this is facing west. We've got an indoor archery range. It's a 50 by 100 metal building. To the rear, off of that, you'll see covered shooting area in red. That is a lean-to built off of the metal building that expands out 14 feet. And that introduces you to that 100-yard range off the back of the building. The lines designate the baffle areas. I'll go into the covered shooting area, encapsulated shooting area a little more, but that would also be included in both pistol ranges is covered in enclosed shooting areas. If we're looking at the rear of the building, again, that's a 14-foot overhang. Our intentions are to enclose the end wall, and that would be done with 2x6 framing and insulation, and on both ends, and can only be accessed through metal doors, metal entry doors on both ends. So now we've enclosed and encapsulated part of the shooting area. To add on to that, we're also going to go ahead and install the DuraPanel acoustic panels. And those will be installed on both the roof, the ceiling area, and all of the wall areas. I've submitted the specs on the DuraPanels with the initial application. So what this gives us is the ability to enclose and encapsulate as much as possible where the shooting is actually occurring. And that would be the same kind of design with the pistol areas. Baffle design, so our baffles are a little different. This is a sample of what a baffle actually looks like. It's a graduated area of wood or whatever material is used to prevent errant rounds from going outside of the range area. So if you look downrange, that lowest baffle area is going to be only about 7 feet off the ground. So with the 7 feet lowered baffle area and the 14-foot bermed areas, it'll prevent rounds from leaving the range area. Ours are going to be even more enhanced because our baffles, we are actually on the baffle faces going to go ahead and install more of the DuraPanels on the front of the baffles. And again, we're not only installing the acoustic panels in the shooting area, we're facing the baffles also with the acoustic panels in hopes that that absolutely deadens the shot that's going to be emanating from there. So. Again, the designs that we have put together it's hard to find. I wish I could have found some type of sound tests that I could submit, but there's really no facility in the immediate area that's going to the extent that we are to deaden sound and using the acoustic baffles in this manner. Is one of the tear sheets, so the reason why we want to have these DuraPanels at the shooting location, as you can see, they work best where it's the loudest. So at that 4,000 hertz range is about where your shooting is occurring. We're actually absorbing over 100% of the noise emanation that's coming from the guns. And again, you know, to be a good neighbor and to protect the hearing of our youth and our members is really our goal above and beyond and in addition to the other things. A quick question that we had come up in discussion is, you know, we agree there should be no nighttime shooting. We have no desire to nighttime shoot. There won't be any exterior lighting for nighttime shooting, but we are being held to the noise decibel limit for nighttime shooting instead of daytime shooting. Just a question response. The boundary buffer is a little cumbersome. Again, we designed the facility where all of the shooting direction occurs west and not towards the dwellings that are nearby. What's west of this property is a 130-acre vacant lot, and beyond that is 1,000 acres owned by Virginia Pardee Lumber Company. So within the next 1,100 acres, there are no dwellings facing west, which is why we designed the entire range system facing that way. So we would ask that instead of not allowing us to be able to use 34 of our acres, that we would be able to reduce the west side buffer area a little bit. I don't have a problem with the north side or the east side where the dwellings are. We actually built that into the design. Another thing that we would like clarification with is the term use area. And I think that it should possibly be firearm use area. I assume that the board and staff wouldn't have a problem with the campground or the archery range, which is a quiet, no noise producing activity, would be okay in those areas that are closer to the housing, which is exactly why we designed it that way. So. I would contend, and I know Mr. McLaren spoke about shooting. I can go out at my house in Rixieville on a Saturday, and for the most part, there's 2 or 3 directions of people shooting. I would contend that we would be a benefit to that and not an addition to it. People are more and more getting their permits to carry firearms, and part of that permit to own and carry is the responsibility to be able to use it and be proficient with it. As that use grows and as our population grows in the county, I think having a place to go and safely shoot would prevent folks from going out on their 2-acre lot and shooting it up on a Saturday morning. So, as far as the environmental conditions, one of the things that was recommended was the use of non-lead shot. Non-lead shot was manufactured to be used for hunters over wetlands and bodies of water. It wasn't made for practice on a daily basis. And so we would ask that be changed to allow lead shot. The reason is that non-lead shot can damage firearms. Non-lead shot is prohibitively expensive. It's about twice a box the cost. We can get a box about $9, and non-lead shot, steel shot would run us about $18 to $20. Non-lead shot is harder and may result in unwanted ricochets. Just another concern that we would have with non-lead shot. Non-lead shot is still considered a pollutant by the EPA. Again, as part of our plan to strictly follow the EPA standards with best management practices for a range, part of that is recycling the lead that's used. And so the way that we would go about that is we would call in a recycling company. They would come in, remove the lead off the lead shot off of the shotgun fields, as well as the rifle and pistol ranges. If we were to have both lead contamination and steel contamination, we've now lost money. Our goal is to try to recoup as much from the lead recycling as possible. And actually, our site is actually a little better suited for lead shot, if you can believe it. And according to the EPA standards, clays have a high bonding capacity, and the groundwater movement clay is very slow. Dense soils, such as heavy clays, prevent lead from moving quickly through the subsurface. So the issue that we have is runoff more than seeping into the soil with the heavy clay content that we have. So if we want to abate runoff, a couple of things that we can do that are super easy, and this is all from the EPA best management practices. I can forward that to anyone who asked, but the pages are noted. So prevent that lead shot runoff of the surface, we propose a couple of different things. The first one is between each field, skeet and trap field, we propose a small 12-inch berm that runs the length of the shot area. And so all that would do was those that don't lay on top of the clay and we get a heavy storm, they would run straight to the small berm area and be contained. And then we just recycle them like normal. But it would prevent that migration from the top field down to the bottom field. The second thing we can do to prevent that movement is adding the amendments, limestone and phosphate. It changes the pH and allows that clay to hold that lead shot a little better, preventing it from migrating down the slope. Last but not least, and our concern also is the intermittent stream. We propose that within, just past that 35-foot buffer, you would allow us to do something that looks like this. It's a filter bed system. So we've got the berms that catch everything coming down. If there's anything that's not caught, it would end up in the filter bed system near the intermittent stream. And so it's basically a sand layer with a perforated pipe and limestone gravel. The lead shot is caught on the sand, the water filters through and goes out through the bottom, and we reclaim it right out of the filter bed. So that is, you know, our concern is to be good stewards. We can't teach kids to be good stewards of the environment, stewards of wildlife, and then we go out and not do the same. That would be hypocritical. And the last thing that was brought up was the clay targets. We would initially have to use the standard clay targets. It has tar and pitch. We would reclaim those and recycle them. They're used in such things as potholes because of the tar and pitch. This coming year, 2024, the largest manufacturer of clay targets, White Flyer, is producing something called an Eco Flyer that is fully biodegradable. And I believe that at that point, when they begin rolling this out to the competitions, they're going to have it readily available to everyone else. So at that point, we'll make the transition to the fully biodegradable targets, and it won't be an issue at all. So. The last thing concerning is no shooting on Sundays. Our goal is to spread usage out as much as possible, and for our members who work Monday through Friday, they would have to show up on a Saturday, which would cause much more traffic and much more usage on a Saturday than what we would prefer. And so we propose being open 12 p.m. To dusk or a different time on Sunday afternoon, and not open Sunday morning, if at all possible. Last but not least, a couple of things. Community benefit. Why shooting sports? I could put multiple slides as to how our youth are benefited from shooting sports. Things such as discipline, responsibility, leadership, and sportsmanship. But I will tell you, I'll give you two living examples. My son was a state-ranked shooter in high school. Graduated from Culpeper County High School, received a ROTC scholarship to JMU, graduated, and is now with the Engineer Combat Battalion out in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Through his college career and through his current career, he shot perfect scores. And he's been asked to brief or explain or help other soldiers as to how they can improve their shooting skills. So that's a direct result from his shooting sports experience that he had as a youngster. So it's not only helping the county, it's helping our country also. The other is, she's actually sitting here tonight. She, again, another Culpeper County graduate, shot shooting sports from 10 to currently. She is a national champion with her team at Liberty University, 2023. They just won the national championship in shotgun. And so she wanted to come out this evening and support what we're doing. And so if you get a chance, ask her, I'm sure she can tell you just how much shooting sports has impacted her life. So
She is your daughter?
she is my daughter.
Okay, you just said, she, so.
Yeah.
We just kind of figured that out.
Yeah, sorry. Lily Cooper, my daughter. Why is a facility needed? So you may or may not know, right now in the county, there are youth who want to shoot and be on a shooting sports team who are waitlisted. It may be between 12 to 20 youth who cannot have a team. And that's just not Culpeper County, that is every single county around Culpeper County. They're all waitlisted. And so the demand is great. One of the issues is volunteers, but the greater issue is a facility. And so it breaks my heart with the passion that I have for shooting sports that every kid doesn't have the opportunity to shoot. Secondly, the way we've kind of designed this is the facility, the members of the facility actually support the youth through their dues. The problem that we're running into now with youth sports, including youth programs with, for instance, Boy Scouts, is all about funding. The kids have to raise their own funds, which there is some good about that. I think that should be part of it, but when a program falls away because of funding, I think it's a tragedy. And so we've prevented that by what we're doing. Why Piedmont Area Youth Development? So this is a 501c3 that I started. I'm the president. As you know, I'm passionate about shooting sports. We choose and we are focused on developing all aspects of our youth in our shooting sports program. That's physically, mentally, spiritually, and socially. We have programs that try to impact every aspect of their life. These include citizenship, leadership, and part of their requirements are community service. Lastly, we have a scholarship program. So if a youth from 9th grade to 12th grade stays with the shooting sports and completes all the aspects that we have put on them, we'll support their careers wherever they go to university or college, or whether it's a trade school. We'll be handing out scholarships to those kids. Last but not least, why Culpeper County? I would say, why not? No. We want to be here. We live here. Obviously, where the facility is located is where the youth will be most impacted. Right now, we actually have youth who live in Culpeper County that are driving to Fairfax Rod and Gun Club to be able to shoot shotgun in practice. So we're hoping that the youth impacted the most will be where the facility is located. And we would prefer and we would love for that to be in Culpeper County. Also, as part of the facility, we're probably, we'll be giving summer jobs to our youth who are in our program for everything from loading clays to cleaning and all types of things that come with running a shooting facility. Thank you. That's all I've got. As a businessman, I often think about opportunity lost. And so I often think, okay, what if there's a 10-year-old boy or girl sitting at Emerald Hill who could be the next Olympic champion? But maybe they have a single mom or single dad who don't have the funds to send their kids to Fairfax Rod and Gun Club, or don't have the funds to buy the equipment that's needed as far as a nicer shotgun or a nicer rifle. We want to be that opportunity, so that opportunity isn't lost to them. All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Curtis, right?
Yes.
If you'd stay up just for a little bit, and if we have any questions, we can ask you some of those questions right now, okay? Mr. Price, you want to start?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thanks. A couple of things for staff, if I could, to start off. The staff summary mentioned in a couple places that the site is adjacent to or within an ecological core with a rating of very high and adjacent to or with natural land network. Could you explain what that means? I mean, is this site ecologically sensitive?
Basically. It's based on the soils, the tributaries, and that's not a county designation, by the way.
Okay.
That's a DCR, Department of Conservation and Recreation designation. We've just started trying to use some of their work that's already been done, and it kind of combines some of those things like soil type, wildlife areas, things like that, so. But I can't get, Mr. Price, to answer your question directly, I can't give you any more detail than that, so.
Okay. Well, given the fact that it's completely wooded now, the nature of the soil, the fact that the future land use map shows it continuing to be agricultural, then what else could these tracts be used for? Timber operation? I mean, could it be cleared off and farmed?
Yeah, they could have a number of, maybe not what we typically see as traditional agricultural uses here, but certainly as timber. When we have a large tract, as Mr. Cooper alluded to, just to the west of this tract that has been timbered commercially for a long time. But yeah, there are other uses. It would be limited as far as probably subdivision potential for housing, and because of the soils directly.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Cooper, a couple things for you. Did you talk to any of the surrounding landowners, particularly the people who live close by or would say within a mile or so?
So I did have an opportunity to speak with the front landowner who shares the right-of-way. And it was by chance, I happened to be out there with my excavator, my excavator speaks Spanish, or else I wouldn't have been able to communicate, but I did. I noticed that the discussion we really had was he had a lot of water pooling around his house and in his backyard. And I told him, there's a possibility that we may have equipment in there. Would he like for us to do some grading to try to get some of that water off of there? And he seemed amenable to that. I think his name was Mr. Mendez, if I remember correctly. So, but that was all the conversation that I've had.
But did you speak to anybody who was either supportive or didn't care one way or another?
The neighbor,
Yeah.
he didn't seem to care.
Well, not just this neighbor, but anybody that you spoke to that would live nearby.
No, I didn't.
Okay. So you have an easement that gets back to the site. So would
Yes,
you
sir.
have to do any improvements to that easement to get both user traffic and construction traffic back there?
Yes, sir. So I think VDOT recommended a commercial site.
Yeah, commercial entrance, I think it was.
Yeah, and there is a 60-foot right-of-way that is along the property line all the way to the back to our first parcel. And so it would, our intention isn't to have a lot of heavy traffic going back there as far as deliveries for any type of, clays. Our clays can be unloaded at the very entrance, which is what we would prefer. So there shouldn't be any heavy traffic making its way down the right-of-way.
Well, how about during the construction phase? Any idea how long the construction phase would last, and then how many trips by larger vehicles, construction vehicles, it would take in order to get the thing built?
It would only be from my past experience. I would say probably initially, the only heavy traffic that's going to be going back there is for the concrete trucks and the delivery of the building itself. So the concrete trucks, initially, our goal is to initially get all the pouring done first, which would probably be within the first, I would say, 45 days. We could have everything formed up and poured. And then after that, it would just be the larger equipment that's back there, and the delivery of the metal building would be the next heaviest to get it back there. So after that, that's about it as far as heavy machinery and equipment going back there.
Okay, you've got an area designated for a tent camp, so you'd have some lighting at night, I guess, when there are people on site. Any idea how much light you would have, and have you looked at how far the light might be visible from?
So our goal with the camping area would be to make sure that we have a buffer. Actually, here we can see it. The buffer would be to the north. There's the next nearest dwelling is that cleared space up to the left. That's also owned by Mr. Mendez. With a tent camping area, we would want to leave as much of the woods as possible. And so I wouldn't have any problem, with a wooded buffer there. There would be no lights for the campground itself. There would be lanterns. We have no desire to put any lights back there.
Well, I mean, well, lights around the parking lot, for instance. Do you have people camping in the parking lot lights?
Yeah, and even that, we're not anticipating would be, too many lights, 2 to 3. And we wouldn't even be opposed to them being turned off at night
Yeah,
to prevent any ambient light leakage.
okay.
So we're open to any of that.
Okay, and then one final thing for staff, Mr. Chairman, I'll be done. So, Sam or Neil, given what Mr. Cooper's described about the baffles and the berms and the covered area where the pistol shooting would be, and then you've got a skeet and trap fields, would it be reasonable that the various factors could be fed into a model, and a company that does noise studies could then say, okay, given these factors, this is what the decibel level might be, this distance out, then this distance out?
I don't know that I can answer that. I don't know if there is a company or outfit out there that could provide that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And to what degree it would provide any assurance either, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because then it would have to be installed exactly a certain way, and I think they've provided examples of things that could be done.
Yeah.
But it really would have to get to a level of detail that I don't think that they have yet on the property, in my opinion,
Yeah.
to be truly accurate, so.
Okay. I'm good, Mr. Chairman. That's all for me right now. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
Do you have a maximum limit that you're going to put on the number of members that you'll allow?
Right now, we're looking at between 250 and 500. That seems like a lot, but if you think of a gym membership, we'll have some who come once a month and some who come twice a month. In kind of contrast, the nearest Rod and Gun Club is Fairfax Rod and Gun Club, and they have a much more compressed area with much closer to residential areas, and they have 1,000 members and about 100 associate members. We don't ever want to get that large. Our goal is to just accomplish what we want to accomplish for maintaining the facility and helping our youth.
Will there be any types of restrictions on the types of guns or types of ammunition that can be used? I mean, can I come in there with an elephant gun and a 50 caliber and blow it up? I mean, what are we?
The way that we are designing the system, it would not handle a 50 caliber. We are not interested in 50 caliber rifles being shot at the range. Most of our, all of our youth will shoot a 22 long rifle, which can barely be heard at 100 yards. I would say most of our hunters will be shooting a 30 caliber, but I have no problem putting in any type of details that there will not be any 50 caliber or that type of shooting being done. I have no interest in that at the range.
In your packet there, you talked about 14-foot berms, but most of the other ones, or at least one of the ones that was approved in 2010 actually has 20-foot berms. Are you opposed to that?
No.
So if they're 20 foot tall, how deep are we talking that those berms would be?
So the system that we're looking at is 2 5-foot baskets back to back with a 3-foot space in the center. So it'd be a 13 feet depth at the base.
Okay.
With the facing would have ballistic mulch. It's called ballistic mulch that actually causes the round to tumble when it hits it so that we can reclaim it better without the ricochets and stuff.
Do you know what the current soil types and classifications are out there? Because I'd say you got a fair amount of blackjack on that land.
It is mostly that, yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then what type of skeet? Are we doing ground skeet? Clays in the air? I mean, what are we?
Yeah, Just a standard skeet, both international skeet and American skeet. They're
Okay.
on the same field, thrown from a high house and a low house. So the shots are all in the same direction. The field of span of the lead shot remains within the same field.
Roughly how far would you all be from the church there at the end of the road?
From the,
There's a church right there at the end of Mount Pony and Baton or Blackjack, whatever it is. Yeah.
Free.
yeah, off the top of my head, I am not sure about that.
Sam, you got any idea? Okay. What type of insurance policy will you be carrying?
So there is a specific rod and gun club corporation that handles insurance, specifically for rod and gun clubs that we would be using.
$1 million, $2 million, I mean, what are we,
We would probably go with the recommendation of the insurance company for our facility and what we have.
Okay.
But probably, minimum 1 to 2 million.
okay. And I know you talked about there being a wait list for the youth or whatever, but is there not more capacity with the current ranges that are in the county? 'Cause I think some of the wait list stuff, at least 4-H wise, is more of having enough adult.
So I was at Cedar Mountain for 13 years and just recently started our new shooting team. We're getting pressure from 4-H to reduce the amount of youth, as well as from the Cedar Mountain Adult Club to reduce the amount of youth in the club. When we left, there were 38 youth in the club. And they would prefer to have it closer to 10 to 15, or about half of what it is. And so that is kind of what's driving part of this is now we have not only a wait list prior to that, now we have others added to the wait list from the loss of the reduction of facility that's there currently. Again, it is, we're scrambling to try to find locations. And if there is another location in the county that allows youth to be taught and instructed and shoot and learn the way that we prefer, I would love to know about it.
And you did talk in your application too about, I forget the exact wording, but basically that they would have to be trained, deemed competent, whatever, like trained by who, certified by who? I mean, who puts that stipulations? Just because I go get a concealed carry doesn't mean that I should necessarily be coaching anyone else on how to safely use a firearm.
Yes, absolutely. So I am trained through the NRA,
Okay,
and that is our standard. We send our instructors to the NRA training to become instructors. And yes, shooting sports is one of the most safest sports in the country. And so our goal is to get them started early, and if we can get them started early handling firearms safely, then it just becomes natural to them. It becomes secondary to everything that they do. And so, yes, there are requirements for our instructors that they have to be certified through the NRA.
and will there be a provision, waiver, disclaimer, whatever, no alcohol consumption on the property?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, ma'am. And also, as a secondary, as far as NRA doesn't train our archery instructors, that would be through USA Archery. So that would be slightly different.
Okay. That's all I got.
Okay, thanks. Lance? You close.
Just had a few follow-up questions. So one of the items that you mentioned, obviously, there's a lot of clay-type soil.
Yes,
So how are you planning to handle your water quantity for the site, not the water quality? Because the device that you have on the plan is more for water quality for BMP and phosphorus and nitrogen removal. So in terms of the amount of runoff and the quantity, how are you planning to control that?
Again, so the pistol and rifle areas would be self-contained, obviously, with the berm areas. The shotgun fields would have, so if there are, let's say there are 2 or 3 skeet and trap fields. At the locations where there's high house, low house, there would be a berm that goes across the entire length of the shot area. And then that would capture anything off of that specific field. And then the adjacent field on the lower slope would also have that same 12-inch berm to capture that shot on the next field, and so on down until we get to the lower area where there would be a filter bed installed near the stream area.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm talking about water quantity, not water quality. So I'm not talking about the lead or the other items. So the filtering device, or we'll call it the sand filter with the underground pipe, isn't really necessarily controlling the amount of runoff that leaves the site. It's actually filtering the runoff. So the question is what are you doing to actually control the release off of the site? So in other words, if the site has, because it's going to be disturbing over an acre, you're going to have to provide some sort of control device, whether it's a pond, whether it's underground detention, or some sort of control structure. So I was just wondering what the plan was for that.
Yeah, so a couple of things. So obviously the fields will be grassed to help prevent that runoff, but we have to do a actual assessment of the runoff. And it'll probably be on that right parcel down towards the lower section to catch all of the runoff from the building and everything else. And we were hoping to capture that separately from the lead side, so.
Yeah, I just didn't see it on the plan. I was just wondering how
Yeah.
that was going to be
Yeah,
addressed.
we've got to do assessments for that.
And then you mentioned about the types of guns. Would there be any semi-automatic type weapons used or allowed there?
Yeah, semi-automatic is a standard pistol firearm that would be used.
And automatic weapons as well?
No automatic.
No automatic, just
No,
semi-automatic.
Yeah, we have no desire to
Okay.
have automatic weapons there.
Let's see here. So I know one of the things that you can do in an effort to reduce your noise is to basically build it down lower. Basically, if the terrain is such that you're actually building in a hole, if you would, and then you're firing uphill toward it.
Yes.
So the lower end of the site is on the far right-hand corner of the site. And so the siting of the layout, have you looked at grading and how you could additionally minimize the noise associated with that?
We did, this is a fairly flat set of parcels, I think, and I'm going off.
It's about
the-
20 foot in elevation
Yeah,
difference.
from the top to the bottom,
Mhm.
yeah. Again, we're running into costs. I'm
Sure.
trying to fund with other investors. And so ideally, we would have a fantastic, some completely enclosed facility, but it would cost about 3 times of what we're trying to get this done for. We did ask that, but the cost prohibitiveness of it kind of shot the idea down.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how you lay out the site can
Yes, sir.
help reduce the amount of noise that you have and how you grade it
Absolutely.
efficiently for that.
Yes, sir.
The other item would be, you mentioned baffles. Are you going to have ground baffles as well as overhead baffles?
We can. We actually looked at some designs for those and to actually help prevent any ricochets from the ground. I'd be open to that and would just need to be, added into
Sure.
the overall design to see if it would work. But
Yeah, because if
we-
someone's shooting up at all or accidentally shoots up, right, then obviously
Yes,
it's
sir.
a projectile, so. And then, I think Commissioner Price had mentioned about acoustic studies. There are companies that do acoustic studies. They do noise profiles similar to what a viewshed analysis would be. So you'd actually cut a line of sight based on where you're actually sitting, and you would actually, based on the topography of that location, you would estimate how the decibels are decreasing across the site. I think it would be good to know what that would be. granted, it's a little bit more money to spend to evaluate it, but to know truly what impacts you're gonna have to the surrounding community, I think that would be good. And then, once it gets constructed, do you have a sound monitoring plan and logs associated with that?
Yeah, as part of the EPA requirements, there would be sound testing as well as keeping strict records as to how many rounds have been fired, how many rounds of skeet and trap have been utilized. All that stuff has to be record kept pretty closely. So yeah, we would be open to ongoing testing.
I think that's about it. I'll just see if there was anything else. Well, I guess with the conditional, this is more of a question for Sam. For conditional use permits, do we require adjacent property owner notifications with the application?
We do.
So they are aware of the
Yes.
application?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You answered my question about the notifications and the record keeping.
Yes, sir.
Would you also keep logs of who comes in, who participates each day or comes to the gate?
Yeah.
That's just been mentioned in a previous conditional use permit for this?
Yes, sir. So as part of, we want a secure facility, obviously, so we're looking at fob systems to be able to track who actually enters through the gate and what doors they access in the facility. So we would have times, who it is, who the member is, what time they're arriving, what time they're leaving. We would have all that on a display from the fob system for entry.
Okay. Just so I'm clear, I'm trying to place this graphic and where it lives in this picture.
Yes, sir.
So does it face the skeet field? And you walk into the back of it when you pull in and are you shooting this way?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. And so
So it actually flip.
if you went to the 20-foot berm, would those just be in the places where the green is?
Correct.
So, do you find any need to offer any berm protection from, say, that neighboring parcel that your property goes around, that 5-acre piece? Or have berms, so you're not planning on berms around the whole periphery?
Correct.
Okay, just in the shooting
Yes.
direction.
Just to contain those immediate areas.
And then in looking at the best management practices, I Googled it and came up with the document written in 2005, and I don't know if that's up to date. But it showed berms with lean-tos on top and additional structures. Are you considering additional structures to stop those errant bullets, or? No?
Yeah, so part of, we're looking at actually 3 different designs for the berms. The first one would have two 7-foot berms using soils with an 8-foot, almost like a ballistic wall at the end. That was one of the options. Another one of the options is full 21-foot soil. And so we are looking at the best, whatever works best for the site, if that makes sense.
Right.
So we're still open to, again, whatever works best
Okay.
for the site.
So it sounds like you're committed to, I remember in this past case in 2010, there was a question of a bullet reaching someone's house, which could have been 2,000 feet away, and whose fault it really was. And so I'm just looking to see you reach your goal, but to see that the neighbors and the people working in the neighborhood are just protected, and we could get to zero escape of fragments, so.
Yes, sir. And so part of that, well, obviously, so the skeet and trap fields aren't an issue. The shot, 7.5 shot, only travels about 200 yards at most with trees. Where you run into the distance is the rifle and possibly the pistol rounds. And so that's where the baffles come in. And if they're designed properly, it's called a no blue view. So if you're laying prone at the shooting position and can look up at any location through the baffles all the way to the berm, that's a problem. Positioning your baffles properly will prevent all of those errant rounds from exiting the site. So,
Okay. And then, would you be, a previous application, they agreed to safety inspections? And I'm not sure what entity we ever agreed, what, was it the zoning administrator or another third party that would come out and check out all your safety structures? It even had a time limit on it. This said a safety review within 60 days from the date of approval of this permit, the applicant shall have performed a safety inspection and review of the facility by a qualified third party, actually. So I don't know if that's something that you witnessed in other operations, or whether you'd be willing to consider that.
we would be completely open to that. And part of our insurance requirements, there's I think it's about a 7-page checklist that we have to go through and score, good or bad, whether or not, your facility has these issues or non-issues. So that could be in addition to any other facility checks. We would be open to that. Our goal is to design the safest, the safest and best location for our youth and for our members.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So you talked about them being able to use fobs to get in and out.
Yes, ma'am.
So I guess my question is what would staffing look like there on a daily basis?
That is a great question that we're trying to figure out. That we would probably have someone on site every day, daily, at least one person. There would need to be ongoing staff to keep, clays running and that kind of stuff. So I think initially there would be 2 staff members throughout the day, every day that we're open.
Okay.
So,
And then I'm assuming, because there is no night shooting or anything like that, you would have, I know you can set time restrictions on when the fobs can be used and in that
Yes, ma'am.
manner. Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
A couple follow-ups. I did notice in the staff summary, it mentions that the Eckington School is about a mile away, and that's where the church is. Would you be open to reducing your Sunday hours instead of noon to dusk, say 1 PM to dusk? Because I think most churches get out about noon, and that way you kind of,
Yes, sir.
you wouldn't interrupt. Would any weapons or ammunition be stored on site?
Great question, yes. There would be, as part of the design of the building, there is a safe room,
Yeah.
and they would be stored within safes. Again, with only certain people given the opportunity to have access to that room. But yes, there would be some of our youth firearms stored there at the facility.
Well, would somebody need to certify that arms room for you? You come in and certify that it's secure and tell law enforcement, yes, this is secure enough?
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Again, we're not trying to,
Yeah.
slide in at the bare minimums. We want to do everything that we can and be as open as we can to both the county and the community. So,
One final thing, I don't know if staff would know this, or you would know it, Mr. Cooper, but are those parcels currently used for hunting or shooting? I'm just wondering if this is going to introduce an element that's completely new to the neighborhood, or if people are already hearing that sort of activity.
there are 4 stands on the property. So yes, there is currently hunting on the property.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all righty. Now, when I first heard this too, and I was, real excited about it all, and then when I got to the member part of it, made me realize that it was only going to be a certain number of people that are there. And what did you say, your number, Mr. Cooper, that you were trying to get to, was it 30 or something, did I hear you say?
So
The number of members that could join.
So the youth members or the adult members? The adult members would be 250 to 500.
250 to 500?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I missed that one.
And we would, currently we have 20 youth on the team, but we kind of have an understanding that our wait list is going to grow fairly quickly. We're a new club and a new team and a new 501c3. We have 20 members just from word of mouth with no advertising of any kind. And so I think once the word gets out, we're going to have a lot of youth that want to join, like other counties also.
So there's no limit that you have on that?
No,
That you're
sir.
shooting for any?
Our goal would be to impact as many youth in the county as we could, and try to find a way to do it as safely as possible and still get the training in and the input and the growth in the youth that we want. So yes, we would, that's our goal, is to have.
And they would already be ones who were the gun club or the shooting clubs? And
Yes, sir. Some of them.
Most of them that will be joining
Yes,
have to
sir.
turn in an application, and then your board approves it, or who approves who's
So-
going to come in?
Yeah, so initially, we had enough of those 20 members just from notifications to me personally that wanted to join a team. And then some would have been rolled out of the 4-H club because of the amount of youth that they're limiting to. And so we grabbed some of those youth who wouldn't have a team and allowed them to be on our team, and we had some new members come in who wanted to join. So,
So the team could consist of how many? Or is no set number?
I would say no if we could get the volunteers in place.
Okay, all right. And I think that is important.
Yes, sir.
Because you said earlier that, and now when we say that, is that many youth could be there.
Yes, sir.
And then we might only have two people,
Yes, sir.
two volunteers are, patrolling it.
Yes, sir.
Could get then, I'm not even counting the adults, but the youth, I think that's going to be, from a security standpoint, something,
Yes.
that would concern me.
Yes, sir,
There.
absolutely.
So, they get out there and they playing around and they do
Yeah.
the things because there's not enough, people there, so.
And what we have seen, if I could address that a little bit, is volunteer per child. Obviously, we have some of our youth here this evening who've been shooting for 6 years, who are, safe enough to go out and hunt on their own. We can have possibly one adult instructor to 5 of those, but when you get down to the youngsters who are new, we like to keep it, 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 in
Right.
instructors, so slightly different.
Okay. And cost on something like that to be a member, and your plan, you're trying to, what numbers like that are we looking at?
So we do require buy-in.
Buy-in.
We believe there should be skin in the game for, shooting sports is very expensive
Sure.
between entry fees,
Ammunition?
ammunition,
Bad set.
swag. A round of, if one of our youth goes out and shoots 2 rounds of skeet, well, that's $20.
Okay.
And so we do require a minimal fee. At this time, it's $100 for the season. And most of that goes back into what they're doing, their entrance fees, their costs for ammunition and that kind of things. We're hoping to grow enough donor base to have our donors sponsor a youth for a year, which would allow us to really go out and pursue underprivileged youth in the county, is our goal.
All right. Have to be an NRA member to be in this?
So because of the nature of the club, we would do background checks on any member. If they have a concealed carry permit, then that would be enough for us because we know that they've gone through the background checks through that. But we want, again, this isn't a facility with youth as an afterthought.
Right.
It's youth first, and if our members don't understand that, then this probably isn't the right location for them. And so we would require background checks of the members before joining.
Okay. I asked you that because I've seen some of these there are some people out there that are starting these things, and they have not the best of intentions.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, we hate to see something like that, grow into a situation that we couldn't control it.
Yes, sir. Understood.
And, let's see, I think but without a doubt, it's needed, I have guns and hunt and all too, and can't find a place, to target shoot and
Yes, sir.
practice. So, very well needed. I think the only other thing that I did have, we talked about the security, the church that's there. I know them very well and all that. And anyone in the neighborhood on Sunday, I think it's great to see that you have other things that can be going on Sunday, but shooting on Sunday, I would be opposed to it on Sunday. You live in Ricksville, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, out there in that neighborhood, I think out of respect, I would, that's the way I would see it. I can do it all during the week, but then when it comes there, we give you a day of rest, and I think that would be, pretty good. So I think the only other thing that I had here, very knowledgeable you are of this. You've done your homework, and I commend you on that. Done your homework. I feel safe in listening to you talk. But the thing is, these types of applications will come through, and then we'll have them, and then they change ownership.
Yes, sir.
And that person might not be like you,
Yes, sir.
and they might have other intentions. And I would want to be very careful in the way that we take our approach on something like this, for sure.
Understood.
Okay, I think that is it for me. So, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now, we would now open up the public hearing. Anyone who would like to speak on behalf of this in reference to this application, all you need to do is raise your hand. Be recognized by the chair, come up, give your full name for our records, okay? And I see that young lady back there, and she's raising her hand. Oh, he raised his hand. You got to be careful with that, young man. You could be in a, oh, he is going to come up. No, he's going to sit down. Okay. He said, I'm a youth. He said, I'm a youth. I heard about youth coming along here. Hey, someone needs to speak now. But yeah, we understand. She was back there trying to keep him from doing it. Okay. Anyone would like to speak on that? Yes.
Hi, good evening. So my name is Anna Lawston. I have known Mr. Cooper for the past several years. I actually met him. My children shot with Cedar Mountain for several years. I have 3 youth that shoot currently. Under his program, I actually have a 4th one that would be able to shoot. And I just want to say it is absolutely needed in this area. There's a lot of youth that shoot. I kind of joked to a friend, you live in the country when the conversation on Monday is who shot what and who went hunting with whom, and that's the conversation the kids have at school. We live in an area in the county that you can't shoot. We have enough space, luckily, that we can do a little archery range for our kids, but we can't shoot in our neighborhood. So we are those people that we're constantly trying to find a friend who has a farm, or trying to go to the Fairfax Rod and Gun Club, which is very expensive. Bull Run, there's that area, which is not close, but it's age restricted. So my 10-year-old cannot shoot there safely. So it's important for the youth to have this place. And I know he talked about the membership in the Rod and Gun Club and the adults. And I have been a part of many youth programs in our community. I've volunteered for Scouts. I've volunteered with Little League. I've volunteered with the PTO. I have been a part of numerous programs. With Cedar Mountain, with 4-H, I have volunteered with them all. And money has always been a struggle. So many of them fold. Even if they don't fold, your abilities to do things are limited. Your youth can't have the experiences that they should have in the programs. So what eventually happens is the cost goes to the parents. You pay them more and more and more, and so you get to parents like myself who have multiple kids, and the only answer at that point is to pull them out because you just can't afford $1,200 for kids to go camping with, scouts or to shoot. So to have that adult facility and the membership to help support the financial needs of the kids and to also offer opportunities to kids who can't afford them. I know he mentioned that there will be some youth firearms on site. That's because the goal is to help provide equipment and materials to the kids to use, but obviously you don't want them going home with them. So the best thing to do is to keep them on site and keep them safe. I've seen so much growth in my children being in learning from Mr. Cooper. I have one child, when he first started, he didn't even speak. I think some other people in this room could say he's a completely different person. He actually has a desire to shoot at a collegiate level. The problem we have right now is he has nowhere to practice. My other child, he plays baseball. The one facility that we used to be was opposed to a 3-hour time frame on Sundays. It's the only time you could shoot. He had to make a choice between baseball and shooting. With this facility, he'll be able to pursue both passions. I understand the not wanting to shoot on Sundays. I get it, I really do. I will say for youth, though, for parents and the youth, pretty much Saturdays and Sundays are all you have. You're always running around after school. If they're in high school and middle school, that's when you start adding after school things, so that the week is hard. But I just want to say I appreciate your time in listening to this. I hope it's given good and positive consideration. It is really needed, not only just, you hear people say all the time that we need more things to do in the county for our youth. This is something that would support our youth. We have shooters in the county, whether they have a safe facility or whether they're doing it in their backyard. Giving them a place with all of these measures and securities in place, instead of just having them go over to a neighbor's friend where you don't know. Half the times kids don't have the proper training. They don't know what's beyond the target. They're just shooting for fun. This gives them something, gives them the training to know those safety measures. And it also extends into hunter training as well. So I just wanted to express my support and just know just kind of state how I personally, my children have seen the positivity and the growth and the positive things that can come from a program like this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Hi, my mother's outside and she can't speak right now, but I would like to say that as a member of somebody who was part of shooting sports since I was in middle school, it really helped me with my people skills, my public speaking skills. It helps with much more than just discipline and obvious things that go with it. It helps with, weirdly enough, teamwork. It's a very communal thing. It feels like you're a part of a community that, especially whenever you're with team, you start to know parents, not only your friends, you get to know parents, people that you begin to trust. You form special bonds that last a very, very long time, and it's an amazing process. I used to live in the city, so when I moved out here, it was a very big change, and I've never held a gun. Mr. Cooper so happened to be my first rifle instructor, and he taught me everything from safety to how to shoot to all that, to the point where my first year, I believe, my first or second year, I won a first place team award in rifle with a couple other, I think, seniors. And it's a wonderful thing that you can do that. And I would love for my little sibling, my little brother that you saw back there, I would love for him to experience such things along with my little sister and my new little brother. So if a facility like this would be so great for my family, for multiple families, just to share a passion or help somebody get that passion in a sport that otherwise they would never know. Yeah.
Okay, can you give your name so that we have
Oh.
that in the record?
Mia Lopez.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Declare the public hearing closed. Mr. Cooper, what age, when we say youth, that's good, come on. What age do we say, where they start?
Usually most.
Members?
Excuse me, most youth members start at age 10 with firearms. They can shoot from 8 to 10 using accurate BB rifles. But usually, once they start in firearms, it starts at the 10 years of age and goes to adult 18 and 19. So,
All right. Okay. The more that I hear about it is something that's definitely needed. And the closest one to us is where? Was it Warrington or someone said? Did you all say?
the closest facility,
Where
or-
youth can,
it's going to be Cedar Mountain here on 15.
yeah, now my father lives there, and I've been out there, different times.
Yeah,
But they're not out there that often.
they only practice on Sundays. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And so
And they don't do that every Sunday, because we don't hear that out there. Right,
I think,
okay.
excuse me, yeah, it's,
The club is getting smaller, I guess.
Yes, sir.
what you're saying. Okay,
Yes, sir.
all right. Okay, all right. Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you,
All right. Any discussion on this?
Only comment I had is the only comment I had, I'm personally for it, from that perspective. The only thing is, I would like to see some sort of additional acoustic modeling of the shooting range. Maybe during, whether it's prior to the board approval or something along those lines, like contingent on approval that an acoustic study would be performed.
Right.
Yeah, that's all.
Anyone else? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I agree, I'm for it as well. I think it's a great use. Question is, can it be made to work on those parcels? And you'll notice in the staff's case analysis, staff could not recommend approval. I'm wondering if we gave the applicant some more time to work with staff, that some of those concerns can be worked out, some of the conditions that staff has laid out, the applicant can come on board with. So maybe he can come back in a month or two and staff be on board with it at that time.
I agree with Commissioner Price. I'm in favor of it. I'm an avid hunter, firearm, have my concealed carry, all that good stuff. My son's 12, he shoots. He goes hunting with us. I think it's great for kids. But I think that there is enough unanswered questions and things that were discussed tonight, like the 20-foot berms, that tabling it would be the best option to have those questions answered, and to be able to come back with a full package, for lack of a better term, to make a firm decision.
Anyone else?
I'll parrot the same thing as my fellow commissioners. I support this. I just wish we could get a detailed list of revised conditions, including the things that you were open to tonight, just so we have an understand exactly what how we're guiding you to the best end.
And I say, I would be supportive of something like this, needed in our community too, but we are going to have to really, I would think, address the security part of it. I'm not real comfortable with that part, especially when I look at the age of the children, now, and the parents, bringing them there or whatever, but, not being able to stay there or doing something themselves, and because the neighborhood itself would change. And I'm very familiar with that area too. And the young lady spoke about church, and I think if it's in your back door, it's a whole different story, okay? But when it comes to, and I understand the weekends, just like going to the landfill, you know, hey, I got to get it done on the weekends. I understand that. But at the same time, out of respect for those, because we're not putting it in your backyard, we're putting it in somebody else's backyard. And I think we should, I really think we should, no matter how perfect it is for the situation here in our community, I think we truly need to think about that, and like we do with any other application, because it says in Article 17, we talk about safety, also, where if I only got 2 people out there and we can have 30, 40, 250, adults and the mixed, and, I'd have to see, if it was 20 of you out there watching over it, okay. But I'm not comfortable right now knowing how that is going to be taken care of. So maybe we can get more information on that, also. So, but very good idea. I'd want to be a member. That's why I was asking you, what do you have to do to be qualified, to be a member. But that's the way I would, see it too. So, okay. No other discussion? Go ahead.
One question for staff. How many days do we have that we have to,
We have, so you have tonight, and then you have 60, you can do up to 60 days. That'd be a total of 90, including this month, so.
so?
It could go, so
December-
your next meeting is November 9th, which is unusual. That's a Thursday because of Election Day, the board meeting on Wednesday, Planning Commission Thursday, actually. The next meeting after that would be the normal meeting date for December, which is December 13th, which is that Wednesday. Beyond that, we would need more time. We'd have to have concurrence from Mr. Cooper. The code allows the Planning Commission to table it for 60 days, so
Okay.
up to 60 days.
And in bringing that, if that's the way we vote, in bringing that back to, I would like to really have a better feel when it comes to not just that security part of it, but when you look at this situation, the neighbors and all that's around there. I noticed you say you hadn't had the opportunity to speak to but like one neighbor.
Yes.
That's there, and
Yeah.
a lot of people just said don't know about those things like that. But I've been to some shooting ranges myself. A lot of us have, and to say it's going to be quiet is understatement. Okay, but you did mention something earlier, and I like to see you comment on that with more confidence about it, because you said something about the Duro panels, and you said you hope that those would do what it's, accomplish what, need to accomplish. Well, the same way about the berms and the things like that, I know we say it's 22s or, that they're using, and maybe, you said 30-30s, a lot of the, 30-30, that's what I got. But you said some of those 30 calibers were what they were using.
Yes.
And that was the biggest that you would have out there. That would travel, 100 yards?
I'm not sure.
Going the right way.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
going the right way.
100-yard range, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, you can understand,
Yeah.
if somebody was shooting out in the back of your house, and you would want to make sure that it was as safe as possible. So even though we don't have, some of the people here that live in the neighborhood, we represent, all of them. So we just wanted to make
Yes, sir.
sure that, we're going into somebody else's neighborhood, and we want to make sure we are as safe as possible, because that's a
Yes.
real key,
Yeah.
when it comes here.
And I
you know,
think
with-
part of, well, first of all, this is my first time doing this.
You've done good.
And I think, from my standpoint, I was trying to determine just how much information, I didn't want to submit a book
Right.
And so the struggle was trying to figure out exactly just how much is enough to submit.
Sure,
And
sure.
so we can
And you done
supplement all
a
that.
good job. And just like I was sharing with on Sundays, I don't think we would be, if we had a restriction that it wasn't on Sundays. Shooting, because you have archery, you have
Yes, sir.
camping, you have, a lot of other things the kids could do.
Yes, sir.
And so I would think, just in the neighborhood, being a good neighbor, that'd be something that we, consider, because churches, they don't just stop at 12 or 1, but they have afternoon programs and all, and
Yes.
so that could happen too.
Very
So.
good.
Okay, you done
Thank you.
very good. I give you okay, A, okay, all right, okay, but no, very good job. Now, we might want to, Katie, you want to make the motion before we drink?
Mr. Chairman, I move that case U-2240-23-1 be tabled up to 60 days.
Have a second? Mr. Price, second. Any other discussion? Being none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Okay, sir. In 60 days, we'll see you with another smile on your face and some good information for us. Okay? Thank you. And congratulations to you, too. Keep. Okay, all right, sure. All right. Oh, you all can't leave till we leave. No, I'm just kidding. It's like, what? Okay. Sam, anything else? Morgan?
No, Mr. Chairman, but some pastors speak longer than others on Sundays.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's some reason why the churches go longer, and I'm just.
That's right, that's
No, we
right.
don't have, we
And
don't
I'm
have
one
any.
of them.
Yeah. No other business tonight, no.
Okay. Being no other business, the chair entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second? All in favor, aye? Aye. Meeting is adjourned.